Oh, all right.
Okay, damn, you're like, oh, he's like, motherfuckers actually bring something to the table. All right. This is in the news, but I've always wanted to talk about this, and it's kind of dull. But Lance Armstrong, he got stripped of his 7 Tour de France.
I had that topic already.
Good.
But all right.
Did he get formally stripped, or is he on his way to the strip?
He was stripped.
He's stripped. Yeah, gone. He's formally. What happened is from his
there's
story.
There's like 7 people just magically got the Tour de France victories.
They did. And I'm sure they're all doping too. It's
they're all doping.
And it was the French agency that did this, because at one time the U.S. anti-doping agency told him he was going to be stripped, and he was like, "Lol, you don't have anything to do with the agency in France, so I don't really care." But apparently, so the French got in on this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's stripped.
USADA also banned him from competing in elite triathlons.
Yeah, he's done. He's done for life.
I don't see why they stripped him. I understand he was cheating. I do understand he was using performance-enhancing drugs to help him with his workout regimen. But that does not stop the fact that he was still working out. He was still training. He was still conditioning himself to the point where he could ride a bike that distance.
I'm stuck because I think he was only sort of cheating. I think he won all those titles on a very dirty but level playing field. I think everyone in that cycling, especially at the time he was winning those, was the most dirty, corrupt sport out there. You know, everybody was doping. The entire team that he was on was doping. All the other teams were doping. Probably 95% of these guys are rumored to have been doping. And for him to win against all the other cheaters tells me he's the best guy in the game. I don't know. But it bugs me. And, you know, everyone's like mad at Armstrong now. Oh, he's ruined his this and that. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all, bro. Like, I enjoyed watching him race. He kind of won.
Didn't Clemens get hit with steroid usage? They're not taking shit from him.
Well, his case was different. He was he was involved in perjury charges. And it was extremely hard to prove. He took steroids. I mean, in the court of public opinion, he took steroids.
I don't see Barry Bonds getting an asterisk on his home run record.
Yeah, a lot of people want to do that too.
But didn't he testify? Wasn't he the guy that spilled the beans? So they give him like some leeway.
That was Jose Canseco.
Yeah, okay.
Canseco. The problem with Armstrong is they had to make an example out of him simply because of the fact of how many titles he won. So, you know, I think if he had only won once, or maybe he'd gotten away with 2 of them, but he was the name of the sport. I mean, he destroyed people. Like, he beat them by he was
football fields.
He was an athlete that transcended his sport, right? He became something bigger than just a guy who wins the Tour de France.
But not entirely on his own merit.
Here's
it was
the thing.
With steroids. I agree it's a dirty playing field, but when you dope, it's like forcing your body to grow muscles and do things.
Right, but what I'm
steroids doesn't really force you to grow muscles, does it?
That's why they took him down.
Depending on what you take, you can put a lot of weird
I was under the impression steroids gives you the ability to work harder longer.
That's right.
Well, some of them do. Some of them increase muscle growth.
So basically, you just give yourself more energy. It's like taking a Red Bull to the extreme.
You can go to the gym and you can kick your own ass and then do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, your stuff heals quicker. HGH can allow you to grow more muscle quicker. But yeah, it doesn't give you muscles. It just allows.
The man still has to put the time in. He still has to build those muscles. Mm-hmm. He still has to condition. He still has to race that race.
If it basically come out that, all right, this guy was a doper and everything he did, and they let him stay intact, it would have taken the sport down. The reason they did what they did was to try to salvage this sport's reputation in some way.
And their advertising dollars. Who wants to advertise for a bunch of dopers?
Right. It was just about
Michael Phelps. He got caught smoking pot, and they're like, "Oh, lose all your contracts."
But here's the thing about Lance Armstrong. For me, it's not about the Tour de France. I don't give a crap about cycling. What I care about, he's a genuinely bad human being. Genuinely awful person. He destroyed people. Anybody that he blackballed so many people from his own team because they refused to cover for his doping. An old masseuse that was going to talk to some magazine about how she saw him doing blood transfusions during the Tour de France and stuff like that. He did an interview and called her a drunken whore.
That's fine with me. You know what?
Blackballed and ruined people.
So let's pretend
and Live Strong is a sham. Live Strong, the charity, is an absolute sham.
Even if all charities are generally shams, but even if that's for a fact, how many people did he empower that actually have cancer and are fighting through it, though?
None, because Live Strong.
You can't say
Live Strong does.
He's not talking about the charity. He's talking about the people that.
I'm talking about just the idea of a guy with cancer going out there and winning Tour de France's.
that.
That's
does the ends justify the means?
That's completely that's a completely unknowable variable. There's no way to quantify that. None. You could
ask people. You could send a letter to everybody.
Right. But you know what? You know what also does work? The cancer research foundations that give actually 85% of every dollar donated to cancer cure research, not Livestrong and all this crap that just gives branding, that just allows Lance to secure personally lucrative deals, and also the difference between Livestrong.org and Livestrong.com. Lance kept all the money from Livestrong.com.
So wait a minute.
All of it.
I'm looking at Livestrong on charitynavigator.org. On a scale of 1 to 70, they are a 64.24 overall. And no, that's really good.
No. The American Philanthropy Institute did a study about this and
they rank them on 0 to 4 stars, and they got 4 stars. So
the American Philanthropy Institute did a completely different study.
I've never heard of them. Like, I know Charity Navigator. I've never heard of the American Philanthropy Study
Institute. The American Philanthropy Institute.
And what did they
Is this
find?
one of those like surveys where they asked like 4,000 people?
They found that although the Livestrong Foundation raised, I believe, $24 million in a calendar year, they spent $45 to raise every $100, and they gave no money, absolutely zero, to cancer research. But Lance Armstrong would tell people that Livestrong is promoting cancer research, etc. No. They're promoting branding and salaries and trips and speaking engagements, allowing Lance Armstrong.
But technically, they are promoting cancer research, even if they're not giving money towards it.
Yeah, that's the loophole how people get by. That's like how the For the Cure thing gets by, even though
where did their money go?
Money.
It doesn't matter where the money went, but the fact is, it gets people more aware.
So none of the charity money went to any sort
It went to Lance Armstrong's pocket, most likely.
No, that's not true.
We're on a hating parade of nonprofit organizations.
Like, here's the thing. I'm looking at this, and they're saying that it took $10 million in solicitation costs, and they brought in $22 million in contributions. And they're like, hey, that's not very good. But the thing about Livestrong is that they sell a lot of product, right? I mean, there's Livestrong bicycle jerseys and T-shirts and shorts and stuff like that. It's not going to have the same profit margin as companies that don't sell anything, that just like, give me money, right? And like words in exchange for dollars. These guys are selling clothes and shorts and pants and whatever. Sure. They're not going to have the same like fundraising ratio. I'm not.
Well, I'll play the devil's advocate here. I think that they're an okay charity just because I don't know anything about them. But if you were a dirty, scummy person, if it was me and I was a scumbag, what I would do is I would have my brother-in-law or somebody that I know own this shirt factory, and he would make me some imaginary quotes about how these shirts cost $15 to make, when in reality they cost $7. And then when the difference came due, we would just split it up amongst ourselves, and it would look the same on paper.
All right, I
need to start a charity
down.
Yeah,
and
start a damn charity next week.
Like I said, I'm not saying that's what happened, but if I was a douchebag, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, I have not heard that Livestrong was not legit until Lefty said it. Like, you're the first guy that I've heard level that criticism against them.
And you know why? Because Lance Armstrong sues anybody that writes about that. He got $5 million.
Like, you're next.
If I'm Lance Armstrong and I'm the greatest cyclist to have ever lived, and I'm with teammates and masseuses and all that were my friend while I was the greatest cyclist that ever lived. Now, in retirement, I'm triathloning and banging rock stars or whatever it is that I do. All of a sudden, my masseuse wants to come out with a tell-all book. Screw her, man. Like, that's not cool. The notion that suddenly I should be like, oh, yeah, dude, get your money. Drag me through the mud. That's not, I don't think that he's obligated to let people just freaking be the locomotive on the hate train.
Sure, I agree with that. And it's like, not like she didn't have a financial incentive to do it.
Yeah. And if you're my ex-teammate, right? We played together or whatever, whatever, we were teammates. You probably were way more successful than you ever would have been if you were on some team that wasn't with me, the greatest cyclist to have ever lived. And now, in our retirement, you want to write a book about me. You want to do interviews for 12 grand.
But then what about the guy that he
to say about that person either?
What about the teammate that he blackballed because he refused to cover for Lance Armstrong's doping? What about the guy he blackballed from the sport, told sponsors and other governing bodies, do not talk to this guy or I will have nothing to do with
you. But you don't know the whole story. There could be something else
to it. They write about it all the time.
That's my question too.
Guy just stab him or something if it was that bad.
What is the rest of the story? Like, the guy blackballed. Well, is it the situation I described where, like, look, we were teammates for a long time, and now all of a sudden you want to further yourself by dragging me through the mud? If that's the case, blackball away. You're in the clear.
And how do you know that at some point, like, Lance didn't cover up for this guy doping, and now he just wanted him to reciprocate, and he was like, "Fuck you."
Well, because Lance Armstrong was the one that secured the U.S. Postal Service, all the money that came from the U.S. Postal Service, and was pocketing a lot of it and got a lot of that through
what's kind of funny? About 30, 40-ish minutes ago, we were talking about conspiracy theory nuts making lots of or building facts upon facts and just kind of getting out there on tangents. Mm-hmm. And now we are making imaginary arguments on difficult to prove facts and compounding those with different theories about what could be happening. So
that's the thing,
Lance Armstrong is the head of the Illuminati.
These are ways.
That's the thing, Lefty. Like, we're hearing, he got all the money from the Postal Service. I need to see the actual proof. I just heard recently about me that all the other machinima directors were taking pay cuts so that I could get a raise. So, it's not true in, like, remotely
Are we allowed
true.
to talk about any of that sort of stuff on PKA, or is that all wrapped up under contract?
I didn't sign no NDA.
It is in your contract that you're not allowed to talk about. Your contract says you can't talk about your pay rates. It's in there.
Yeah.
But more general stuff out there, or certainly like they're doing press interviews dispelling the lies about me. Whatever. The truth will come out pretty soon. But the truth is not what you've heard. So anyway, I was just sort of comparing that to this stuff about Lance Armstrong. Like, he got all the Postal Service money? That seems unlikely. I bet Postal Service got $100 million.
I never said he got all of it. I never said he did.
All right, let's back up the tape.
Who cares if he got all the money? I mean, the man's got enough money to buy a Rolls Royce every day of the week, most likely. Doesn't matter.
The point is, he certainly profited a lot. He made a lot of money in different ways. He found a way to profit off of Livestrong. And so if you want to say that he's a scumbag because he found a way to make money off the charity, then there's no way to dispute that. But
all
the while extolling his own virtue. That's what I have a problem with. Not that he made money, but all the while he was trying to tell me that he did it clean and he's so awesome.
That's a common trait, though, Lefty. Like, around here, we have AC people that will go in there and tell you got 2 or 3 parts on your AC that needs to be replaced, even though you don't need to replace them, just because they're cheap, easy to flip parts. Mm-hmm. He gets paid that amount of labor to do it. And then he'll do it and he'll fix it and be like, "Hey, tell your friends about me." And then they'll go on the TV and be like, "We're the best in the world. We'll fix all your problems." And they're making a killing off of you. This is the way the world works.
And pretty much every mechanic that I've ever been to also told
mechanics too. Same thing.
The problem, I don't like that comparison because there are victims in those other things, right? Like there's victims when your mechanic says you need new brakes and you really don't, or when your AC guy
people
says
donating money to sham causes would
really
be a victim.
Hold on. No, wait. We haven't seen Livestrong proven as a sham. What we have seen is it rated as the most reputable stuff on charitynavigator.org. We have seen the source that Lefty quoted as sort of, being in favor of them. All of a sudden they're not good. No, they're good. We need to see an actual source that we can verify that Livestrong's not good. Because
does anybody have Lance Armstrong's phone number? We can just invite him in here. He'll just
everybody tweet to Lance Armstrong. We need some answers.
So when we say that, Lance is bad, just like my mechanic is, dude, Lance didn't hurt me at all. I watched him. He was on TV. I don't see the victims in his thing. The only victims he has are counterattacks from people that were trying to stab him from the back, which, by the way, is a victim I approve of.
I just put in the American Philanthropy Institute article highlighting exactly how awful Livestrong is as a charity. And then here's an article about how Lance Armstrong specifically and coldly and calculatedly, that's not a word, but was cold and calculating in making people believe that Livestrong was donating money specifically to cancer research when he wasn't. And it's just all about branding.
So this is damning. They sold $24 million in merchandise and only had $22 million in contributions.
What's that?
The article you sent? Like, they sold $24 million in merchandise. They spent $10 million in solicitation costs and brought in $22 million in contributions.
Right.
So that would mean they're
22 million from outside sources. Not that's what was left over of the 24 million in sales. they brought in 22 million just from people donating on their websites and.
So the 22 million is not total income; it's just donations.
Yeah, like donations.
Okay.
Like
So they had
like a
22 in
PayPal
donations
donation
and
page.
24 in merch.
No, the 24 million. I thought that was cost of goods sold.
I think that's revenue and merch. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've got the degree in accounting here. I only got the crash course in it.
There's only so much here, but it looks like Lance Armstrong Foundation sold over 24 million in merchandise, and they had 22 million in contributions. That's I'm not seeing them being damned here. It's hard to scan. It's a long enough article, but.
But then how do they have 45? Where does the $45 to raise each $100? Where does that come from?
That would be like the cost of donations. That would be like if you
that's
spent
the- that's the cost of
$45.
paperwork.
That's an incredibly high attrition rate for a foundation, for a charity.
No. That's actually a pretty good one. Like,
Yeah, it's
what's
better
the
than
kid
Red
one?
Cross.
Every dollar you throw out there, you get 2 back.
Right.
Isn't it like the American Cancer Association, something like 92 out of 100 or something like that?
Yeah, there are worse charities, but so what? That doesn't.
But that
It doesn't
make it
matter.
bad.
There's worse charities that actually do cancer.
They do cancer.
Wait,
Yeah, the
you're
American charity.
But you're shifting the goalposts here.
We're not shifting the goalposts. You're trying to prove this charity, which has a pretty good track record and has, blue ribbons across the board and has a really, really low cost of operation.
Doesn't have a low cost of operation.
45
So-
$45
Comparatively.
Us 6 internet wizards tonight are going to talk and come to a conclusive answer about how good or bad this charity is, and that our
right.
word will.
We
this
should
will be
probably
resolved.
change topics. I
was
do
gonna
want to
say
get in.
boobs, Mike talk.
Yeah,
Something.
boobs, and I talk whatever. The American Cancer Society, which is what Wings was bringing up, is 2 stars on Charity Navigator compared to Livestrong's 4 out of 4. So I just haven't seen compelling evidence. Even the source that Lefty gave me is saying that, Lance
Lefty
Armstrong's
obviously
put in his
thinks
pocket.
Lance is a Templar, and that's that.
Oh yeah,
He's a Templar. That's right. There's Assassin's Creed crap.
And I'm an
going on here.
assassin, and I'm gonna go get him. No, I'm